Good morning!
I'm your radio teacher,
I am your science buddy.
and I'll give you an exciting lesson that you'll surely enjoy.
Sci Talks Radio. Education must continue.
Learning is a great avenue.
No one will be left behind.
With new normal comes new learning.
New method, new way of understanding.
Keep on learning.
Keep on achieving,
There's no way of hindering.
enriching one's dream.
This is Sci Talks Radio, your number one source of science education. Conveying a half an hour of quality scientific teaching on air.
This is
Sci Talks Radio.
A pleasant day to all the listeners out there, especially to our grade 7 learners. Welcome! This is a new episode of DepEd School on Air for Science subject. I'm Teacher Merlin Paguyo, your radio teacher from the school's division of Isabela, your guide in exploring today's new topic in science. Hello! How have you been? I hope you are doing fine today. Are you ready for another episode of learning? That's great! Before we start this session, make sure that you are in a good spot at home with no distraction to be able to catch up with our discussion. Today is another special day because you are about to explore and learn another topic in science. Are you ready to learn today? Are you ready to become a scientist in your own ways? All right! Kindly make your science modules available beside you. Together with your pen, extra sheet of paper, and your science activity notebooks. In Lesson 1, you found out that you need to dissolve a given amount of substance or solute in the required amount of water or solvent to produce a saturated and unsaturated solution. Here in Lesson 2, you will understand supersaturated solution, and after joining me in this episode, you will be able to define supersaturated solution, compare and contrast saturated and supersaturated, and cite the importance of supersaturated solution. So please lend me your ears and listen attentively. Our topic is also related to our previous lesson regarding saturated and unsaturated solution. So before we proceed, let's have a warm-up activity by answering some questions found on your modules under What I Know. This will assess how deep is your knowledge about our topic for today. Are you ready? That's nice! Let us answer the 10 questions. Do this in a 1/2 sheet of paper lengthwise. Write only the letter of the correct answer for each question. Did you understand? Good! Just a reminder, you must answer the questions honestly. Let's start! Number 1. Which of the following substances is most soluble in water? A. Flour, B. Table sugar, C. Cooking oil, D. Baking soda. Number 2. Which statement is true of any saturated solution at a given temperature? A. No more solute will dissolve in the solution. B. Adding more solute will increase the saturation. C. You can dissolve more solute if you stir the solution. D. 1 liter of the solution contains 2,000 grams of solute. Number 3. Which of the following refers to the maximum amount of solute that can dissolve in a given amount of solvent at a certain temperature? A. Solubility. B. Dilute solution. C. Saturated solution. D. Unsaturated solution. Number 4. Which of these solutions has more solute that it can hold? A. Saturated. B. Suspension. C. Unsaturated. D. Supersaturated. Number 5. Supersaturated solution is one with blank. A. Greater amount of solvent. B. Less solute than the solvent. C. Less solvent than the solute. D. Equal amounts of solute and solvent. Number 6. What is something that can be dissolved in a solution called? A. Colloid. B. Soluble. C. Insoluble. D. Suspension. Number 7. What do you call a substance dissolved in a solution and contains greater amount of solute than the other component? A. Saturated. B. Suspension. C. Unsaturated. D. Supersaturated. Number 8. Jessica wanted to ferment a fish. What type of salt solution she needs to prepare in order to conduct fermentation? A. Saturated. B. Suspension. C. Unsaturated. D. Supersaturated. Number 9. When does a solution become saturated? A. Crystals form. B. You need to stir it more. C. Additional material will dissolve in it. D. Two materials have combined to create a clear liquid. Number 10. A powder is about to be poured into the liquid. Which of the following should be done to make this powder dissolve faster? A. Freeze the mixture. B. Stir the powder in the liquid. C. Add more powder to the liquid. D. Store the mixture in a dark place. That's it. Let us see if how many correct answers you will get by checking your own papers. While I read to you the letter of the correct answers. Shall we start? Now, listen carefully because these are the letter of the correct answers. Do not forget to check if your answers are correct. For number 1, the correct answer is letter B. Table sugar is most soluble in water. For number 2, the answer is yes, it's A. Saturated solution means no more solute will dissolve in the solution. For the next item, the answer is C. Saturated solution. It's the maximum amount of solute that can dissolve in a given amount of solvent at a certain temperature. How about in number 4? That's right, it's letter D. Number 5 is letter C. Supersaturated solutions has more solute than it can hold. In number 6, the correct answer is letter B. Soluble. It is how something that can be dissolved in a solution is called. How about in number 7? Correct, it's letter D. Supersaturated. It is the substance dissolved in a solution and contains greater amount of solute than the other component. In number 8, the answer is letter D. Jessica needs to prepare a supersaturated solution in order to conduct fermentation. While in number 9, the answer is C. A solution becomes saturated when no additional material will dissolve in it. And for the last number, the correct answer is B. Stir the powder in the liquid to dissolve it faster. Alright, how was it? Did you get a high score? Now, kindly count the number of your correct answers, then write it on the upper right part of your paper. Who among you got a perfect score? Okay, that's good to know. And for those who did not get a perfect score, don't worry, because that is just a warm-up activity. You still have chances to get high scores on your next activities. All you have to do is to listen carefully and understand our lesson for today. This time, I will give you a moment to eat your snacks, do some stretching, and attend to some of your personal needs if you must. We will proceed with our main lesson after this short break.
Mare, narinig mo na ba ang tungkol sa online distance learning ng DepEd? Ano ba ito? Ay oo, Mare. Ang online distance learning ay isang pamamaraan kung saan maihahatid ng mga guro ang kaalaman para sa mga anak natin sa tulong ng teknolohiya gaya ng internet, laptop, computer, at cellphone. Ganun ba, Mare? Oo, Mare. Hindi magkakasama at magkakaharap ang mga estudyante at mga guro. Maaaring matuto ang mga bata sa pamamagitan ng online na pagkatuto. Isang mensahe mula sa kagawaran ng edukasyon at ng himpilang ito.
And I'm here once again. This is Teacher Merlin, your radio teacher for this episode of learning in your science subject. Are you excited to learn our new topic for today? Alright, our new lesson is all about supersaturated solution. But before we continue, may I know what have you discovered from the previous lesson of this module? To find that out, let's do the activity under What's In quickly. Please refer to your modules as you do this activity. First, arrange the letters of the jumbled words in column A. Then, define each word by matching it to the given sentences in column B. Lastly, write your answer in column C. Let's start answering. All right. The time is up. Let us check your answers. The first word when decoded is correct, solubility. Among the definitions written in column B, which one matches with the term solubility? Very good! It is the ability of a substance to be dissolved in another substance at a specific temperature and pressure. Next, what about the second term? Can you decode it? The answer is unsaturated solution. Great! What does it mean? Right! A solution in which the amount of solute is less than the solute's solubility at a given volume and temperature. Lastly, the final term is saturated solution. It is a solution in which the amount of solute is equal to the solute's solubility at a given volume and temperature. Amazing! As we continue, kindly refer to the image found in your modules on page 12. What is in the picture? What will happen to the solutions if you will add more amounts of solutes like sugar in a cup of hot water or cocoa powder in your hot cocoa drink? For a deeper learning, let us feed your curious minds by conducting an experiment. Are you excited to become your own version of a scientist by doing an experiment? Let's have an activity which is entitled Making Supersaturated Solution. Perform the activity and answer some of the questions on your science activity notebooks. These are the materials needed for the activity: sugar, water, 250 ml beaker or plastic cups, stirring rod or spoon, alcohol lamp or candle, tripod or any supporting cooking material, wire gauze or 15 square centimeter screen, and matchstick. I'll give you time to prepare those materials. After a few seconds, we will perform the activity. Hi! Are all the materials ready now? Are you excited to perform the activity? Let me remind you that you must carefully use the following laboratory instruments or kitchen materials to avoid damage and accident during the conduct of activity. Be careful in doing the activity, especially if fire is involved. Ensure the presence of adult companions while doing this activity. If the materials are all set, let's start doing the activity. In the first procedure, get your safety goggles and aprons on. Next, prepare a 250 ml beaker or plastic cups and a stirring rod or a spoon. Third, fill the beaker cup with 100 ml of tap water. Step 4, slowly add 100 grams of sugar to 100 ml water and stir it. How's it going? Now, on your science activity notebooks, write your observation and describe what happens to the solution. For the next procedure, add another 100 grams of sugar to the sugar solution in step 4. Do the particles in sugar still dissolve in water? Moving on, step 6. Heat your solution of at least 80 degrees Celsius and continue adding 100 grams to the same sugar into your solution. This time, what had you observed from the solution? Be specific about the particles. Did they dissolve in water? Did the water change in color? At this moment, stop boiling your solution. Add another 60 grams of sugar. Stir and observe what will happen. Describe your solution in your science activity notebooks. What do you call the solution that contains more dissolved solute than a saturated solution does? And now, for the last procedure, let your substance cool down its temperature up to 25 degrees Celsius. What have you observed? Are there crystals formed in your solution after cooling it? All of your answers in this activity must be written in your science activity notebooks. Does it make you feel like you're a real scientist now? That's great! Always remember that when you add more amount of solute in a solution and then you will observe some particles are left at the bottom of the solution, at that point, the solution is saturated. It is a solution in which the amount of solute is equal to the solute solubility at a given volume and temperature. Do you understand? Okay. During heating of solution, you continually added solute in a solution, and it is still dissolved. At this portion, the solution is saturated at a higher temperature, allowing the solution to cool down at normal temperature and no solute crystallizes. The solution is supersaturated solution. It is a solution in which the amount of solute is greater than the solute solubility at a given volume and temperature. This state is unstable, which by slight agitation causes precipitation. In this process, some of the solute will come out of the solution. Once precipitation occurs, the result is a saturated solution. All right, are you still with me? Great! Let us now summarize your understanding about our lesson. How do we describe an unsaturated solution? Unsaturated refers to any solution that is still capable of dissolving more of a solute. For example, a glass of iced tea is not saturated with sugar if you've placed 1 tablespoon of sugar in it because it's still capable of dissolving more sugar. What about a saturated solution? These solutions have dissolved the maximum possible amount of solute. For example, if you keep adding sugar to a glass of Kool-Aid, it will eventually stop dissolving and settle to the bottom. And finally, supersaturated solutions are those that have dissolved more than the normal maximum possible amount of solute. These solutions are unusual and aren't very stable. For example, the addition of a small mote of dust to such a solution causes enough of a disturbance that crystals spontaneously form until the solution reaches a saturated state. Congratulations for a job well done, kids! Now, to develop your writing skill, kindly make or compose a poem related to supersaturated solution. You can write it in a separate sheet of paper and have it submitted to your teacher for evaluation. Alright, this time I want to check if you really understood the lesson that we just had. I believe that all the activities that we have done will help you with the assessment that we are going to do after this short break.
Mare, narinig mo na ba ang tungkol sa online distance learning ng DepEd? Ano ba ito? Ay oo, Mare! Ang online distance learning ay isang pamamaraan kung saan maihahatid ng mga guro ang kaalaman para sa mga anak natin sa tulong ng teknolohiya gaya ng internet, laptop, computer, at cellphone. Ganun ba, Mare? Oo, Mare. Hindi magkakasama at magkakaharap ang mga estudyante at mga guro. Maaaring matuto ang mga bata sa pamamagitan ng online na pagkatuto. Isang mensahe mula sa kagawaran ng edukasyon at ng himpilang ito.
We're here once again. Like what I've said before the break, you are going to have an assessment to check whether you really understood our topic for today. So kindly prepare 1/2 lengthwise, then write your name, grade and section, and the date today. Are you ready for your assessment? There are 10 questions that you must answer. Listen to the questions carefully and write only the letter of the correct answer for each question. Use your paper for your answers. Okay, let's begin. Number 1. How will you identify a saturated solution? A. Less solvent than solute. B. Less solute than solvent. C. Equal amounts of solute and solvent. D. Less amount of both solute and solvent. Number 2. Which statement is true of any saturated solution at a given temperature? A. No more solute will dissolve in the solution. B. Adding more solute will increase the saturation. C. You can dissolve more solute if you stir the solution. D. 1 liter of this solution contains 2,000 grams of solute. Number 3. Which refers to solubility? A. Solute to dissolve a solvent. B. Solute to dissolve in a solvent. C. Solvent to dissolve in a solute. D. Solvent and solute to dissolve each other. Number 4. Which of the following refers to the solution that contains the maximum amount of solute dissolved in a given amount of solvent? A. Solubility. B. Saturated solution. C. Unsaturated solution. D. Supersaturated solution. Number 5. Which of the following refers to the solution that contains less amount of solute that can dissolve at a given temperature? A. Solubility. B. Saturated solution. C. Unsaturated solution. D. Supersaturated solution. Number 6. You are given a 30 ml solution in a beaker. You add solute to the beaker and it dissolves completely. What is the solution? A. Solubility. B. Saturated. C. Unsaturated solution. D. Supersaturated solution. Number 7. Which of the following are made up of solutes and solvents? A. Colloid. B. Mixture. C. Solutions. D. Suspensions. Number 8. What is the solution that contains more solute than a saturated solution under the same conditions? A. Solution. B. Supersaturated. C. Unsaturated. D. Supersaturated. Number 9. Why is increasing temperature of the solvent will speed up the dissolving process? Because it brings blank. A. More solute to crystallize. B. Less solute molecules to the solvent. C. Fresh solvent into contact with more solute. D. More solvent materials to collide with the solute. Number 10. When does a solution become saturated? A. Crystals form. B. You need to stir it more. C. No additional material will dissolve in it. D. Two materials have combined to cause a clear liquid. Alright, it's time to check your answers. We'll see if who among you will get a high score this time. I ask you to please check your papers honestly. I will read to you the correct answers, so listen attentively. Are you ready? Let's start. In number 1, the correct answer is letter C. How about in number 2? Great! The answer is A. And in number 3, the answer is B. For number 4, the correct answer is letter B. In number 5, it's letter C. Number 6 is letter C. Number 7 is also letter C. Now, for number 8, the correct answer is D. How about in number 9? Correct! It's letter A. For number 10, the correct answer is letter A. Did you get a high score this time? Now count the total number of correct answers, then write it on the upper right portion of your papers. Done already? Who among you got a perfect score? Congratulations! It seems like you really focused on our lesson today. Well done, everyone! I hope you have enjoyed and understood our lesson for today. Do not forget to review your next lessons for you to get high scores on your quizzes. Once again, thank you for listening to DepEd School on Air. On behalf of the scriptwriter, Joanna B. De Fiesta, and the whole RBI production team of SDO Isabela, thank you so much for listening. This is your teacher on air, Ma'am Merlin Macni Paguyo. Keep tuning in on this station for another episode of learning. Until next time, God bless everyone. God bless Isabela.
Patuloy ang edukasyon para sa ating henerasyon. Sa daan ng pagkatuto ay walang may iwan. Kaya halina sa Radyo Eskwela.